Thank you all, and thank you, Tom. First of all, I hope you all know how lucky you are to have this attorney take an interest in you and your community and bring his clinic into the neighborhood to provide needed legal assistance. A lot of very talented lawyers realize that the need is there, but they don't do anything about it. Tom at least walks the walk. Okay. Like Tom says, there are differences between state and federal court. And just let me just briefly, I'm not going to assume that everybody knows the distinction, so let me just briefly talk about that. There are certain kinds of things that fall within the exclusive jurisdiction of the federal courts. Federal courts don't have the kind of jurisdiction that the Superior Courts have. That's what everybody's kind of familiar with, because we've got judicial districts scattered throughout Los Angeles County. There's 50-some odd. So almost every city, every community has got a little Superior Court. Everybody's kind of familiar with it. And they do all kinds of stuff that the federal courts don't do. We don't do juveniles. We don't do probate. We don't do family law. We don't have a small claims division. We don't have traffic. But if you're on a cruise and something terrible happens to you out in the middle of the ocean and you want to sue Princess Cruise Lines, you're probably coming into federal court. If one of our Fortune 500 corporations is out in, I don't know, El Salvador drilling for oil and doing the terrible things that they do to the indigenous communities when they're digging for oil, those people have recourse in federal courts. If some of you are creative and have written a book, come up with an invention, and someone else is infringing upon your intellectual property rights, you can redress those grievances in federal court. We also do all manner of criminal stuff. State criminal laws, to a large extent, have parallel counterparts in the federal statutes. We do have some situations, for example, marijuana. Marijuana remains a violation of federal drug laws. So notwithstanding the fact that we've got medical dispensaries, I understand we have more medical marijuana dispensaries than we have Starbucks. Eric Holder has made the decision that in jurisdictions like California, where the people have said, hey, it's cool with us, he's not going to prosecute under the federal drug statutes, medical marijuana. Okay. For a number of reasons, the penalties associated with drug offenses prosecuted in federal court are much more severe than they are in state court. For one thing, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong and refresh my recollection. Most felony offenses in California state courts are subject to, if it's incarceration, 3 periods of incarceration. They call it the low, middle, and the upper term. It's generally 16 months, 2 years, or 3 years, and generally, absent extenuating circumstances, you get the middle term, 2 years. Because of overcrowding in the state prison system, you may get sentenced to 2 years, but you're not going to do 2 years. It used to be half, and I understand now it's even less than that. Okay? As a matter of fact, some colleagues of mine, federal judge panel up in Northern California, has decided that the overcrowding in the state court system is so bad that a lot of people have to be released because the conditions are simply inhumane. Now, with that in mind, the penalties, the actual penalties for drug crimes committed and prosecuted in state court are minimal. To the extent that there is any deterrent effect in prison sentences, that deterrence has been pretty much watered down. And this is something that we were talking about last week in court in connection with sentencing someone who has been in and out of jail over and over again, is suffered a dozen drug convictions. But it's always probation. First 3 times, it's like automatic. I don't care what it is, it's automatic, you can get probation. And maybe a week or so in jail, maybe 30 days in jail, but you're going to get 3 years probation. When you're finally sentenced to prison, it's going to be actually for a short period of time. So, what does this tell people? This tells them that it's not that big of a deal. Selling drugs is still lucrative. If and when I ever get caught, nothing much is going to happen, all right? And so like I had to admit to this no longer young man, part of the problem is our problem. This is our fault. As part of the criminal justice system, it's on us. We let this happen. We promoted this. We told people, not just him, but a lot of people, we told them it's okay. For whatever reason, it's okay. Keep doing what you're doing. We can't house you, so we're not going to put you in prison for that long. But you get prosecuted over on the federal side. The prosecutor on the federal side is a whole different thing. We don't have that overcrowding situation. And we're not looking at 16 months, 2 years, 3 years. I had to write this down because I'm going to tell you, the statutory scheme for some of this drug stuff is unbelievable. You are looking at 10 years. And this isn't something I can do anything about. I can go, oh, this looks like a decent guy. You know, just got caught up in stuff. He came from a bad home and blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to cut him some slack. No, I can't cut him any slack because Congress says you must put him in prison for a minimum of 10 years if he's got a kilo of heroin. If he's got 5 kilos of cocaine. If he's got 50 grams of crack. If he's got 100 grams of PCP or 1,000 kilograms of marijuana, 10 years, no questions asked, and not approximately 10 years. We're talking 10 years. And dear God, don't let somebody get hurt in that transaction. And everything doubles. Don't let you have been armed. And you don't really have to have it on you. Let me tell you about a case here at Inglewood where the guy didn't have anything on him. He was dealing out of his house, but he had in a kitchen cabinet a gun. And he admitted that if necessary, in order to protect his stash, he would use that gun. So that gun was considered part and parcel of his drug offenses, automatically tacked on 5 years. And they're not playing. So he was looking at 15 years, and he's going to do every day of it. Every single day.